Folks, once again, it's your boy Tim. Unfortunately, it is that time of year, winterizing your e-bike. I've had several folks ask me, what do you do with these bikes when the season ends? I'm here in the Midwest. It is late October, and you know what that means. Snowfall is not too far away. So as much as we enjoy riding these vehicles, for us who live north of the Mason-Dixon line, the time to ride has ended, and we got to prepare these bikes for winter. Now, obviously there's a slight difference between a traditional bike and an e-bike, and that is the electronics. So the battery is the most expensive item on the bike, and we're going to talk about that. So stick around to the end of the video. We talk about lots of different things with e-bikes and e-vehicles, because I'm going to be doing a video on the Umi 52 volt scooter as well soon. So subscribe to the channel and we'll talk about that in the video. So what's the best advice to winterize these bikes? Well, I'm coming up on year 2, several hundred miles already on the bike. So I'm going to give you some of my advice, at least, how to preserve these bikes. First of all, clean your bike. Once the season is over with, give your bike a good wipe down. Leaves, debris, and things like that on the bike can lead to corrosion, rust, and other things that shorten the life and the beauty of the vehicle. So give your bike a quick wipe down, remove debris and mud and things like that. Help preserve the beauty of it. Second issue is lubricate the bike. Your chain, gears, you know, if you want to give your bike a little bit of oil on the gears. Now, in particular with this bike, and I'll turn it around for a minute. This bike, the battery on the Lectric, as you know, the battery is on the inside of the bike and the bike folds open. So there are hinges on the bike. So I would highly advise any of the moving parts, give it a dab of oil or something like that, lubricate it, stuff like that, so that over the time period of winter and things like that, everything's not squeaking and rusting, and you know what I mean. Lubricate the cables if you got traditional brakes and things of such. Next item, tune up your vehicle. Tune-ups can be brake pads if you need to change cables and stuff like that. If you do not do that specifically, I'm recommending a tune-up because you can avoid the spring rush. Everyone goes to the bike shops right now that bikes are about to be put away. Perfect time, take your bike to the bike shop. You're not gonna have a long wait, so get your bike tuned up, whatever you need to have done. Like I said, if you need brake pads, if you want to change the pads. I actually gave my bike a upgrade in gears, because when the bike is going pretty fast, you can have what's called ghost pedaling, 10-15 miles or better. So I actually added additional gears so I can have more effective pedaling at high speed. So any type of upgrades you want to do like that you're not capable of doing, this is the perfect time to take your bike to the bike shop and let them do it without having to worry about the spring rush of everybody else bringing their bikes to the bike shop at the same time. Next, we're getting a little bit bigger here, storage. Storing your bike over the winter season. First of all, I suggest you fill up your tires to the proper PSI, whatever's labeled on the tire. I don't have to show it, but fill it up to the proper PSI. And the reason I'm suggesting that is to avoid flat spots. And when I mean flat spots, the bike is going to be in one position on the ground for a period of time. And if the tires are flat, you could end up having a permanent flat spot on that spot. Having said that, I am not a fan of garage hooks and things like that. With e-bikes, they're pretty heavy. So I don't advise hanging your bike up high on ceilings or hanging it up on the garage wall and things like that. I know some of you guys might actually prefer to do that. It's your choice, but when you're talking 65 pounds or more, for safety reasons, I suggest keeping the bike at floor level. And having said that, like I said, fill up your tires to proper PSI. In addition to that, keep the bike dry. So you don't want moisture or humidity, because obviously that turns into water, which can lead to rust and corrosion. Having said that, also, I advise taking your batteries out of the bike or off of the bike. For if you got a Rad or some of the other bikes where the battery is external, take the battery off and keep it somewhere that is going to keep it at room temperature. And I'll explain that to you later, but anytime when it comes to electronics, avoid extreme temperatures, avoid moisture. So when I suggest storing the bike somewhere dry, preferably if you can room temperature, but if you got to store it in the garage and the garage, you know, drops below freezing temperature in the wintertime or gets really hot in the summertime, there's nothing you can do about that. But in regards to avoiding moisture, if you have to store it, like say in the backyard somewhere outside, cover it with a tarp. Because even though the bike is designed to handle certain amounts of moisture, if it's covered in snow, that's essentially like submerging the bike. So definitely if you have to store it outside, you know, you got a small apartment or something, or you're keeping it on a balcony or something, I suggest putting a tarp or something over it so that it's not exposed to rain, snow, and other forms of moisture. But even still, take the battery off the bike and store it under your bed, put it in the closet, put it somewhere inside of your home for room temperature. In addition to that, there's theft. I suggest when you store your bike, even if it's in your garage or somewhere, lock it up, because it's not uncommon for folks to have their garages broken into, no matter what neighborhood you live in. And you're talking about an item that's worth at least $1,000 or more. So if you don't have anything to lock the bike to in your garage, which most people don't, just stick a U-lock through the wheel or something like that. Just make it just that much more difficult for a thief to roll off with the bike. So even if they were to try to steal it, at the very least, they got to carry it out. So do not leave the bike unlocked. I just don't advise doing that. Take it or leave it as you will. So coming to the most important part is the batteries. Notice I said batteries plural, even though most of these bikes only have one battery. I'll give you the first, which is the most obvious, the battery that powers the bike. Like I just stated before, if you can, take it off the bike and store it somewhere that does not deal with extreme temperatures, such as freezing in the wintertime or baking hot in the summertime. You can shorten the life of the battery and the quality of it by having it continue to reach these crazy temperatures. So first thing is store it somewhere that doesn't get crazy temperatures. Second thing, and most important, you need to deplete the battery and let it stand between 40 and 80% of its charge. Do not store the bike with a full charge in the battery. If you leave the battery fully charged for an extended period of time, you will shorten the life of your battery. So not only do not leave it fully charged over winter, definitely do not leave it on the charger. Not only are you ruining the life of your battery, you're also wasting electricity. And you're not getting anything beneficial out of it. So if you're going to be not riding this for a month or more, take it off the charger and try your best to keep the battery around 40 to 80% of its charge. So you may want to ride the bike out a little bit to make that happen. In addition to that, in regards to avoiding extreme temperatures, I said batteries plural, and this is the last piece of advice. Any accessories you have on the bike, such as here I have a light, I have a pretty nice horn you can hear. All of that stuff has its own internal batteries. I also have another separate light here on the back that has its own little battery in it that happens to be dead right now. So little issues like that. If you have any devices that have batteries in them, they're going to be one or two types. They're going to be your alkaline type batteries like Duracells and Energizers. If you have devices on your bike that takes those type of batteries, take those batteries out. Otherwise, you could have acid burst batteries in your device come summertime. So take those batteries out. Don't leave anything with batteries in it that you can remove out. I'm sure you've all seen devices where there's all sorts of acid and corrosion inside because the battery has burst, and you got to clean it out, assuming you can still use the device. So take the batteries out. That's for alkaline batteries. If you have batteries that are rechargeable, like I have in all of my devices, none of these devices have alkaline batteries in them. The same thing applies as your main battery. Leave these batteries halfway charged. They are lithium batteries, just like the bike batteries are. So halfway deplete the light, or whatever you can do to make sure your light is halfway depleted. And same thing with the horn or anything else. If you do not deplete those devices halfway, just like with your main bike battery, you are depleting the lifespan of those batteries. So make sure you think of that with all your accessories on your bike. Other smaller items like your water bottle, take it in the house and wash it. The last thing you want to do is leave a water bottle on a bike and let whatever's in that bottle, the remains of whatever's in that bottle, sit around for 6 months. That's going to be a pretty nasty bottle once you come back to it in spring. Probably end up trashing it. So take your water bottles and all of that stuff off the bike and wash it out, dry it, and store it for the winter time as well. So that should conclude all of the major items that I would suggest dealing with over the course of the winter time, and that should give you a little bit more life and duration for your bike, your enjoyment, and the product itself. Let me know in the comments what you think. I always respond and answer to any and all comments. Subscribe to the channel as I suggested. We'll be reviewing the Yumi Y10 scooter coming up. It's your boy Tim. Catch you later.